Hello. Earlier this year I made a video where I attached some of these little coloured LED strips to the four corners of a 250 size quadcopter, and I flew them around at night, and it was actually quite fun because it was easy to see the orientation of the quad and everything. And just after that I started getting into larger quadcopters, and I thought I'd be a smartass and get some of these circular LED strips, I guess you could call them, rings, and I got a few of them. And I thought I would get a larger quadcopter and dress it up like a UFO and fly it around at night and make people go, ooh, ah, what's that? So I never really got around to doing that, mainly because, well, there was a few reasons, but it was winter and it was freezing cold, so I thought I'd leave it till a little bit later when the weather was warmer. And the other thing was that I didn't have a GPS hold capable quad at the time, because that's something that I wanted to have so that I could just have it hovering and I didn't have to keep an eye on it every time. That's the 12 volts. Pretty neat, huh? So of course I wanted to, the other thing I wanted to do was, instead of landing it with the lights on, I wanted to turn the lights off so that it would just disappear and then try and land it in the dark. Otherwise it would be a bit of an anticlimax, really. If anyone was watching it going, ooh, ah, they'd just say, oh, it's just some dick with a quadcopter. So rather than have an anticlimax, I wanted to try and land it in the dark somehow. So I thought one way you could do that is to just use the GPS hold feature and just lower it down until it got close enough to you, and hopefully you'd see it and then land it like that. The other idea I had was to get a little light on the ground and point the light upwards so that you could put your FPV camera facing down, and then when you turn the lights off you could land it via FPV and land onto the light. And then it occurred to me that these cameras that we use for FPV are all, well, not all of them, but a lot of them are originally security cameras. And those security cameras are often in places where they're supposed to be recording things in the dark. And I came across this camera here on Banggood, and this is actually a night vision camera, and it has it has a little IR filter in there, so you can do both color images just like a normal camera, and then there's a little solenoid here that when that powers up it shifts the IR filter out of the way so that you can use it as an infrared camera. So I got this, and you need to short these two pins here if you want to permanently have the IR filter out of the way. So that's what I did. And to originally the idea was I would put an infrared light on the ground so that I could land it on top of the infrared light, and that would be better than having a normal light on the ground, because nobody could see it, right? Only me with my infrared camera could see this light on the ground to know where to land, so I could do everything in total darkness. And then I thought, well, why don't I just try sticking this on the quadcopter, because it's probably bright enough, that's what it's made for, and just fly around with the light and the camera on the quad. So I also got one of these so I could record it at the same time as well. This turned out to be a bit of a weak point, as it happens, but for $30, not too bad. So I'll just show you a little bit of the video that I got. I'm not sure if I'll ever bother going ahead with my UFO dressing up thing, but for now what I did was stick, there we go. So this is at about 45 degrees facing down. You couldn't really have it facing straight forwards like a normal FPV camera, because you need to be looking at the ground to get your bearings, because the illumination doesn't really go too far. This one seems to be good for up to about 30 meters or so. But so anyway, it's facing 45 degrees down, and they're just stuck on a piece of plywood together, and then they are attached on this nice foam block, which is very easy to shape and cut and make things out of, but it's quite hard. It's almost like balsa balsa wood to touch, to press, and then it's just strapped on there. And both the camera and the infrared array, they're both powered by 12 volts, well, 3S battery directly, and so is the video transmitter there as well. So that's just a regular video transmitter. Yeah, that's all it is really. So to use this on the quadcopter, the light meant that I would have to have another light on the ground if I wanted to see where my home point was, because I still didn't want to get lost, because I was expecting that when you get too far above the ground then you won't be able to see anything at all. So I actually got another light. Well, I'd actually had this one since last year when I was doing my work with the Wiimote stuff that I was doing, and this is actually for security cameras as well, and you could put the camera in the middle here if you want to, but I just use this as my ground point, like home beacon. And by the way, there's nothing to see if you were here in real life you wouldn't see anything when I do this, but when I power this up from the 12 volt battery and I point it at the webcam, you should be able to see sort of pinky purpley lights there, and I can't see anything here myself, but I can see it in the webcam. So that is one way of checking that it's actually doing something. And I didn't want to use this one on the quadcopter because it's a very narrow field of view, or narrow beam. It's almost straight ahead, just comes out very narrow, whereas that other one, as well as being brighter, it's a more cone-shaped spread of illumination like that. Well, you'll see in the video anyway. So I just stuck this on there like that and just hung it over the fence to shine it down onto the ground and let me see a home point, and I'm really glad I did that because I would have been stuck without it. Anyway, here is the video. I'll just show you a little bit of video that I took with the Mobius first, so you can get an idea of how dark it was and what you could see without the infrared illumination. Yeah, I just did a little quick test flight to check that everything was working properly. And you can see as I turn the quad around to face us here, that is the infrared illumination on the front there, and once again the camera, the Mobius, can pick it up quite well, but to the naked eye there's not much to see. This one actually you can see a little bit of faint red colouring inside the infrared LEDs, but only from within about, say, a couple of meters away. And this quad does have two lights on the bottom, but they don't really do such a good job of showing you the orientation, because as soon as you bank away from yourself like there, then you're kind of screwed. So you have to just keep turning, keep in your mind the way you were turning until you turn back, or if you get stuck, I guess you could just go up and up and up until you can see the lights from underneath. So anyway, now that I've satisfied myself that everything was working alright, I turn my FPV stuff on. By the way, if you can hear somebody singing, that's not me. There's a guy over there, I think he's a little bit crazy maybe. Anyway, see what happens. Okay, I can't see as well as I'd hoped, that's for sure. But I can see my home position marker. That's there. And I am over here. Hello. And if I go up too much, Not bad, not as good as I'd hoped though. Certainly can't fly around too much. Hopefully I can still see my marker. Oh, there it is, look at that, isn't that great? Now if I didn't have that, I would be screwed. Hey, is it raining? Fuck. Oh man, it's raining. Yeah. Well, I've got bugs crawling all over the inside of the goggles. I can't really see as well as I was expecting to, and it's a bit windy and it's starting to rain. So, thinking I might cut this short, although we could go and see the crazy guy. Where is he? No, I can't. I can't see enough features to track my bearing. Oh, okay, there's my home point. Thank God I've got that. Whoa, well, I got lost there. Here we go. Oh, this is kind of nerve-wracking. Can't really tell how high you are or how fast you're moving, and as soon as you roll a little bit, the camera points away from the ground below you, if you know what I mean. So when I roll, it points to the side. So I think I'm going to need a lot more illumination to really make this worthwhile. I guess if you stay close to the ground and you have some features, like when I'm here I can see that little track, so I know where I am and I have a good feeling of how high I am. But if it wasn't for that, as soon as you go over the fields, like the playing fields, you just have no idea. Where am I? There I am. Oh, I felt the wind from it then. Well, this is quite nerve-wracking, so I think I have another battery, but I might just fly line of sight with that. Let's see if the homeless guy's home. Oh shit. What happened? Fuck. Lost signal. What happened? Why? Well, I don't know what happened, but the signal cut out and then it seems to have come back, but I had to land line of sight. Alright, I'm feeling brave. I'll give it another try. It's a bit scary when the signal just disappears like that though. Okay, here goes. Yeah, I'm not too... If I could be sure that the signal wouldn't just cut out like that, I would go a little bit further afield, because I can always turn around and see my beacon over there. Oh, I didn't know I was there. Okay, I was already lost. Oh, come on. Well, this time the signal didn't even come back. Well, I'm afraid this is just way too stressful to keep doing. So that's going to be the end of the FPV, I think. Well, there you go, nighttime FPV. It wasn't as interesting a video as I'd hoped for, so I'm sorry if you found yourself a bit bored there. But I think the main reason for it is that the area that I'm flying in is just grass, and there's just not really anything to look at anyway. So I think to make this more enjoyable, you'd need somewhere that you could see more identifiable features on the ground, instead of just playing fields and long grass. But I did learn a few things, and probably the most important thing I learned was not to use this video out. So I think the problem was that this video out wasn't giving me video out properly occasionally, because as you saw from the video, it was continuously recording all the time, even though in those times when I couldn't see anything on my screen. So I think instead of bringing the video into here and then out of there, I would split it before it goes in here. So I'd have just one endpoint here, nothing on the video out part, and then the split part would just go straight to the goggles. I think that should work, so I'll try that next time. Apart from that, this is not too bad for $30, I guess. I couldn't find a way to get the large date and time text off the screen, so that was a little bit annoying. And as you saw, it kind of stuttered in the recording. Fortunately, I didn't see any of that stuttering while I was flying, so that's purely just in the file that got written to disk here. That's where the stuttering came in. But yeah, so I'll keep using that. It's not too bad. So to make it more fun, I think in general you just need a different place, and a little bit more illumination would be okay. But I think that's not too bad for just one. If you wanted to, do it a lot, I'd probably have two of these lights on here, maybe angle them apart a little bit so that there's a nice spread of light spreading out, so you get a good picture over the whole area of your screen instead of just in the middle. And speaking of in the middle of the screen, I found that when I was viewing this in my goggles, I'm using these ones here, I couldn't see anywhere near as clearly as in the video that we just watched, because I'm not really sure exactly why, but I think it could be this screen that's used here. Maybe it doesn't deal very well with high contrast ranges, because when I was looking at it through these goggles, the very middle point of the screen was almost just a ball of white. So it was all saturated completely into white, and then the screen edges were dark. So it was quite hard to see what was going on, and I couldn't see anywhere near as well as we saw in the video just now. So I'm not too sure what could be done about that. Anyway, so I might give this another try sometime in the future. And if you want to give it a try, I guess you'll know what to expect now, at least from these components. Alright, thanks for watching. See you later.